We've all met someone who seems to operate on a different emotional frequency. They don't cry at funerals. They don't flinch when others suffer. They can walk away from relationships without a second glance. But here's what most people get. Wrong cold-heartedness isn't the same as cruelty. It's not about enjoying someone else's pain. It's about feeling nothing at all. Today, we're breaking down the 5 definitive signs of a genuinely cold-hearted person, not the movie, villain stereotype, but the real psychological patterns that researchers and therapists have documented for decades. These are the signs that show up in clinical studies, in failed marriages, in broken families, and in boardrooms where empathy would have changed everything. If you've ever wondered whether someone in your life is emotionally unreachable, or if you're worried about your own emotional walls, this video will give you the clarity you need. Before we start, let me be clear. Cold-heartedness exists on a spectrum. Someone can show 1 or 2 of these signs and still have capacity for warmth. But when you see all 5, that's when you're dealing with someone whose emotional architecture is fundamentally different. Let's begin. The first and most obvious sign is what psychologists call emotional unavailability, but not the temporary kind. Everyone has bad days, stressful weeks, or periods of grief where they pull back. A cold-hearted person doesn't have periods of unavailability. They have a permanent residence there. Here's the clinical distinction. In attachment theory, we talk about avoidant attachment styles. People who learned early that emotional closeness equals danger. But cold-heartedness goes deeper than avoidance. An avoidant person still feels the need for connection. They just suppress it. A cold-hearted person genuinely doesn't experience that need in the first place. Dr. Martha Stout, a clinical psychologist at Harvard Medical School who spent decades studying personality disorders, notes that individuals with severe emotional detachment don't just resist vulnerability, they literally don't register it as a loss. When a relationship ends, they don't feel grief. They feel inconvenience. Watch for these specific behaviors. The logic shield. Every emotional conversation gets redirected to practical solutions. You say you're hurt. They explain why you shouldn't be. Not to comfort you, to end the conversation. The absence of repair attempts. In healthy relationships, after conflict, someone reaches out. A cold-hearted person can go days, weeks, or forever without checking in, without apologizing, without acknowledging that something broke. The flat effect. Their emotional range is narrow. Not depressed, flat. Same tone whether discussing a promotion or a death. Research on Alexithymia, a condition where people can't identify or describe emotions, shows this isn't always a choice. Some people genuinely lack the internal vocabulary for feeling. I knew a man who learned his father had terminal cancer. His response? That's unfortunate. I'll need to update the estate documents. No tears. No denial, no anger. Just administrative processing. That's not stoicism, that's a missing emotional circuit. The danger here isn't that they're acting cold. It's that the coldness is their authentic temperature. This is the sign that confuses people most. Cold-hearted individuals aren't always socially awkward. Many are charming. They can read a room, mirror emotions, say exactly what you need to hear, but it's performance, not connection. Psychologists call this cognitive empathy without affective empathy. They understand what you're feeling. They just don't feel it with you. It's the difference between knowing a fire is hot and being burned. Research on psychopathic traits distinguishes between 2 types. Affective empathy, actually sharing another's emotional state. Cognitive empathy, intellectually understanding another's emotional state. Cold-hearted people often have intact cognitive empathy. They use it as a tool. They know you're sad, so they say the right things, not to comfort you, but to maintain the relationship's utility, to avoid social friction, or to get something they need. The test is in the follow-through. Performative empathy has an expiration date. They'll send the thinking of you text after your surgery, but won't visit. They'll say, that must be hard when you lose your job, but won't offer concrete help unless it benefits them. Even more telling, watch how they talk about people who are no longer useful to them. The ex-partner becomes crazy. The fired employee was incompetent. The empathy was conditional on the person's role in their life, not on their humanity. A CEO I studied in a business case gave tearful speeches about our work family during layoffs. Privately, he referred to the same: employees as overhead. Reduction, the public empathy, was brand management. The private language was the truth. This sign is particularly dangerous because it makes cold-hearted people successful. They can network, date, lead teams, and build empires because they understand the rules of emotional engagement without being burdened by the emotions themselves. Healthy human relationships run on reciprocity, not transactional bookkeeping, but a natural flow of give and take. Cold-hearted people take this flow and dam it up on one side. The reciprocity gap shows up in 3 dimensions. 1. Emotional labor. They receive comfort, support, patience, and understanding. They return efficiency. They'll fix your problem, but won't sit with your pain. They'll remember your birthday if reminded, but won't anticipate your needs. The emotional heavy lifting is always someone else's job. 2. Vulnerability exchange relationships. Deepen when both parties risk vulnerability. Cold-hearted people are emotional. Black holes. They absorb your disclosures without offering their own. You know their preferences, their schedules, their opinions. You don't know their fears, their shame, their childhood wounds. Not because they're private, because those depths don't exist or have been permanently sealed. 3. Crisis response. This is the ultimate test. When you have an emergency, they're helpful within reason. When they have an emergency, the relationship's asymmetry becomes stark. Their crisis requires your full attention. Your crisis requires their scheduling availability. Studies on communal versus exchange. Relationships show that cold-hearted individuals treat all relationships as exchange-based, even intimate ones. They keep mental ledgers. Favors given are favors owed. There's no "we're in this together," only "what do I get from this?" The reciprocity gap isn't always obvious, because cold-hearted people can be generous with money, with connections, with gifts. But notice what they don't give. Their time when it's inconvenient, their attention when they're focused elsewhere, their comfort when they're not in the mood. The resources they offer are ones they have in abundance. The resources they withhold are the ones that cost them emotionally. This is where cold-heartedness becomes ethically significant. It's not just that they don't feel, it's that they've built elaborate systems to justify not feeling. Psychologist Bandura's research on moral disengagement identifies the mechanisms people use to violate their own moral standards without self-censure. Dehumanization, displacement of responsibility, diffusion of responsibility, and moral justification. Cold-hearted. People have these mechanisms running on autopilot. Watch for these rationalization patterns. It's just business. As if economic context dissolves ethical obligation, they would have done the same, projecting their own ethics onto others. I'm just being honest, using truth as a shield for cruelty? They knew what they were getting into. Blaming victims for their own exploitation. I have to protect myself. Framing emotional withdrawal as wisdom rather than incapacity. The most sophisticated, cold-hearted people don't think of themselves as cold. They think of themselves as realistic, tough, unsentimental. They've reframed their emotional absence as a virtue in a harsh world. Here's the critical distinction. A person with healthy boundaries can say no and feel conflicted. A cold-hearted person says no and feels nothing, or worse, feels satisfaction in their own strength. The moral emotion, guilt, remorse, concern, that should complicate. Self-interest is simply absent. Woman I encountered in a support group described her father, a surgeon who missed her. Childhood because saving lives was more important. When she finally confronted him as an adult, he didn't apologize. He explained that emotional needs are subjective. Cardiac arrest is objective. He'd built an entire identity around the idea that his coldness was actually moral superiority. The final sign is the one that breaks relationships beyond recovery. Cold-hearted people cannot engage in genuine repair after rupture. In couples therapy, we talk about repair attempts, the gestures, words, or actions that restore connection after conflict. A joke, an apology, a touch, a question. Research by John Gottman shows that the success of repair attempts, not the absence of conflict, predicts relationship longevity. Cold-hearted people either don't attempt repair, or their attempts are so hollow that they deepen the wound. Healthy repair. I was wrong. I see how I hurt you. Here's what I'll do differently. Can we rebuild? Cold repair. I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's just move on. I said I was sorry. What more do you want? Or worst of all, silence, followed by acting as if nothing happened. The inability to repair isn't about stubbornness. It's about missing the internal feedback loop that says, I caused pain, and that matters. Without that signal, repair is just another social performance, and they can't understand why their performance isn't accepted. This is why relationships with cold-hearted people often end with the warm partner feeling insane. They've been given apologies without change, promises without follow-through, explanations that somehow make them the villain for still being hurt. The cold-hearted person has moved on emotionally before the conflict even ended, so they genuinely don't understand why the other person is still stuck on something that's already resolved in their mind. If you recognize someone in these 5 signs, here's what you need to understand. Cold-heartedness is rarely malicious. It's usually protective, a fortress built around wounds, so deep they've been forgotten, or a neurological difference that makes emotional experience fundamentally different. But understanding isn't the same as accommodation. You cannot love someone warm. You cannot negotiate for emotional presence. You cannot earn what they don't have to give. Your options are 3. Accept the relationship on their terms. Limit the relationship to contexts where their coldness doesn't wound you, or leave. If you recognized yourself in these signs, know that emotional architecture can change, but usually not through willpower alone. It requires therapy, sometimes medication for underlying conditions, and the terrifying work of dismantling a fortress that has kept you safe but isolated. The heart isn't meant to be cold. It's meant to be protected enough that it can risk warmth. Thanks for watching. If this resonated, subscribe. If it hurt, that might mean it's true. I'll see you in the next one.